The Call of Duty franchise is today one of the most influential in video game history. Since its inception, this first-person shooter series has kept players engaged with captivating campaigns and epic stories set in war scenarios ranging from World War II to modern conflicts and even futuristic battles. COD's journey is a testament to the lasting impact that narrative and story mode can have on the player experience, becoming a central pillar of the industry. Let's dive into the individual campaigns of this iconic series, ranking them from worst to best. We'll explore how each game in the saga brought its own perspective on war, and how mesmerizing stories, memorable characters, and intense action sequences helped elevate the FPS genre. From titles that fell short of expectations to those that stood out as true gems, this list will take you through the journey and evolution of the Call of Duty franchise. Initially conceived as a DLC for Modern Warfare 2, this installment was expanded into a full-fledged title, drawing criticism for its seemingly rushed nature. The gameplay attempted to balance traditional franchise elements with new ideas, but the execution fell short of expectations. The game marked a turning point for Activision, with lower-than-expected sales and a divided critical reception, raising serious concerns about the franchise's ability to reinvent itself and recapture its former glory. Modern Warfare 3 continued exploring large-scale international conflicts, bringing back iconic villains and the looming threat of global disaster. Despite moments of tension and cinematic sequences, the plot was criticized for recycling formulas, lacking the emotional depth and innovation that defined earlier chapters. The absence of polish and truly groundbreaking mechanics highlighted the limitations of a game that felt more like an extension of its predecessor than a standalone title. For many, Modern Warfare 3 sparked a debate about the series' future, emphasizing the urgent need for a more creative and daring approach. Call of Duty: Black Ops Cold War is the fourth title in the Black Ops saga, set during the Cold War era. Players take on the role of a CIA agent who is part of a special operations team tasked with tracking a mysterious Soviet operative known as Perseus. The story takes us to iconic Cold War locations, such as East Berlin and Vietnam, as the team unravels a complex narrative. Far from being the best Call of Duty campaign, the game faced criticism for questionable narrative decisions and mission design. The Black Ops series has always aimed to deliver a distinct experience from the rest of the franchise, but this was clearly not Treyarch's finest effort, at least in terms of storytelling. Black Ops 3 was an attempt to take the franchise into a more high-tech setting, where players assumed the role of a special operations soldier equipped with cybernetic enhancements. The story revolves around a global conspiracy and a mysterious paramilitary group, taking players on a journey through varied locations, from futuristic cities to war-torn battlefields, with the bonus of a cooperative mode. Despite its ambitions, the campaign disappointed for several reasons. The story's complexity and its heavy reliance on technological themes made it confusing for some, with twists that were hard to follow. Additionally, the overemphasis on the character's cybernetic abilities led to less tactical gameplay, leaning more toward frantic action, alienating fans who appreciated the more strategic approach of earlier titles. The lack of iconic characters and a compelling narrative further detracted from the experience, resulting in a campaign that fell short of expectations. The game continues the rebooted series launched in 2019, following the story of the iconic Task Force 141. Players once again accompany characters like Captain Price, Kyle, Gaz Garrick, Simon Ghost Riley, John Soap McTavish, and the new addition, Colonel Alejandro Vargas, in a global operation against a new threat. An unlikely alliance is formed with Los Vaqueros, an elite Mexican Special Forces unit, to cut off funding for a terrorist cell. While Modern Warfare 2 boasted impressive graphics and some standout missions, its campaign was somewhat underwhelming for fans expecting a continuation on par with the classic 2009 title. The story struggled to deliver the same level of tension, emotion, and surprise that the series is known for, leaving many feeling the experience was incomplete. Released in 2006, Call of Duty 3 capitalized on the ongoing popularity of World War II first-person shooters. The game sought to differentiate itself by presenting multiple perspectives and narratives from Allied forces, including the British, Americans, Canadians, and Poles. This broader approach provided a more varied and expansive view of World War II events. While generally entertaining, the campaign was relatively short and hindered by some of the weakest AI in the franchise, which diminished the challenge and tension of key moments. However, it still delivered an engaging experience from start to finish, especially considering the limited competition at the time, aside from titles like Medal of Honor. Call of Duty: Ghosts transports players to a near-future setting where a South American superpower, the Federation, invades the United States after a devastating attack. Players assume the role of Logan, one of two brothers who are part of a resistance unit known as the Ghosts. The story follows their fight to liberate the U.S. from the Federation's oppression. The narrative is packed with action, intense missions, and unexpected twists. Players face challenges in diverse environments, ranging from urban ruins to underwater settings. Overall, it's a solid campaign and features one of the franchise's most beloved characters, Riley, the loyal German Shepherd, who even becomes playable in some missions. This title was a crucial test for Activision and Microsoft following the acquisition and, more importantly, after the disappointment of Modern Warfare 3. Players were skeptical and expectations were sky-high, as the game promised to deliver an experience worthy of the franchise's legacy while embracing a modernized design in line with recent gaming trends. Black Ops 6 marked a return to the Black Ops series and the world of covert operations, this time set in the early 1990s during the Gulf War or Operation Desert Storm. Players face off against a mysterious paramilitary organization called Pantheon. Alongside traditional linear, intense missions, the game introduced open-map objectives, stealth-focused infiltration missions, and sandbox-style moments that offered strategic freedom. This risky approach paid off, delivering one of the most robust campaigns in recent years. This was the most recent return to World War II with a captivating campaign that, once again, unfolds across various battlefronts. Players follow a diverse group of Allied soldiers as they fight the Axis in key locations like the Pacific, Eastern Europe, and North Africa. The game allows players to experience multiple characters, each with their own story and special abilities, providing a variety of perspectives and gameplay styles throughout the narrative. The campaign pays homage to the bravery and sacrifice of some of the heroes who fought during World War II, delivering an immersive and action-packed experience for fans of the series. With highly detailed environments and truly cinematic combat sequences, Call of Duty: Vanguard plunges players into the depths of war, offering an engaging take on this historical period. This marked one of the most experimental phases of Call of Duty, as several games sought different approaches to refresh the franchise. Call of Duty: Advanced Warfare is set in a future where warfare is conducted using advanced exoskeleton technology. The protagonist, Jack Mitchell, is a soldier who joins the private military corporation Atlas, led by Jonathan Irons, portrayed by Kevin Spacey. The story follows Mitchell on missions across various countries as he faces terrorist threats and high-level conspiracies. It probably boasts the most original and exciting gameplay in the entire franchise, primarily known for its relentless and frenetic action. While the story may not rank among the franchise's best, it effectively drives the narrative and compensates with everything else. It is one of the most unique Call of Duty games, and anyone looking for a different campaign should give it a try. The second title in the series was the one that began establishing Call of Duty's hallmark storytelling. Once again set in World War II, it delivers an intense and thrilling campaign where players explore the roles of different Allied soldiers, including Americans, British, and Russians, across various war theaters. The campaign's narrative follows these heroes in critical missions, from epic tank battles to urban combat in war-torn European cities. Call of Duty 2's campaign is filled with memorable moments, capturing the atmosphere of war and the camaraderie among soldiers. The variety of settings and missions makes the gameplay flexible, while the era's graphics and audio design contributed to an authentic experience. This game offered players the chance to live this historical period in a unique way, and helped lay the foundation for the franchise's prominence today. This title marked the beginning of another significant subseries within the franchise. Call of Duty: Black Ops is the first game to place players in the Cold War era. The main character, Alex Mason, is a U.S. Armed Forces soldier trying to uncover dark secrets tied to his past and a covert mission known as Operation 40. The narrative is known for visiting several iconic locations from that period in history, including Cuba, Vietnam, and the Soviet Union, offering a gameplay experience that leans more toward espionage and intrigue. It also features some of the most beloved characters in the franchise, making it a fascinating game from a military history perspective. After some less successful experiments, this was a return to the series' roots. Call of Duty: World War II takes players back to World War II in a campaign that follows the story of Private Ronald "Red" Daniels and his journey through European battlefields, from D-Day to the invasion of Nazi Germany. Players experience the horrors and challenges faced by Allied troops, participating in several efforts that were crucial to securing victory for the Allies. The narrative of Call of Duty: World War II focuses on camaraderie, courage, and sacrifice. It is renowned for its realism and attention to detail, as well as for the diversity of missions, such as the Normandy landings, the Battle of the Bulge, and the crossing of the Ludendorff Bridge. It is one of the best Call of Duty campaigns in recent years, and an absolute must for anyone wanting to explore fascinating facts about World War II. I must confess it's one of my favorite campaigns, especially because it explores two perspectives of World War II that haven't been extensively covered, but hold enormous potential. It tells the stories of a Russian soldier on the Eastern Front holding back the Nazi advance, and an American soldier introduced to the horrors of war in the Pacific, with the Japanese as the enemy. The campaign's events are partly inspired by real battles, providing an impressive sense of authenticity. Secondary characters also play a vital role in the campaign's quality, with the charismatic Sergeant Reznov and Sergeant Roebuck making missions even more engaging. Additionally, the variety of settings is remarkable, transporting players to different parts of the world. This is a reboot of one of Call of Duty's greatest classics, offering an intense campaign that takes players on a journey through some of today's geopolitical conflicts. The story follows a group of characters, including Special Forces soldiers and CIA agents, as they fight against a global terrorist threat. With stunning graphics, immersive missions, and a narrative diving into the complexities of modern warfare, the game delivers a gripping experience for series veterans and newcomers alike. The campaign is praised for its raw and realistic portrayal of contemporary combat, highlighting the moral dilemmas faced by soldiers and agents in the fight against terrorism. Among all, this is the most original COD. It's also the one set furthest into the future chronologically, following Captain Nick Reyes and his crew in their battle against the Settlement Defense Front, SDF, a separatist military organization from Mars threatening Earth. Players embark on thrilling missions, from intense space battles to covert operations on other planets within the solar system. The storyline of Infinite Warfare heavily relies on its characters to unfold. Faced with monumental challenges, everyone is tested like never before, ultimately discovering if they are ready to do what needs to be done. The action is relentless, featuring some of the best cutscenes and visual effects the franchise has ever offered, culminating in what is arguably the most unforgettable final mission. Released in 2003, this was the game that started it all. After Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, it was hard to imagine another game could represent the World War II setting so well. Call of Duty not only achieved that, but surpassed it in many aspects, immediately becoming the gold standard for this theme in the genre. One thing Infinity Ward understood better than anyone else was that the way the story was told would be crucial to fully immersing the player. It's a typical World War II themed game, but delivers an incredibly cinematic experience that forever marked the genre. Players follow a unit comprising various companies of the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions after the events of Operation Overlord. The protagonist, a newly enlisted soldier named Martin, goes through many of the most iconic moments of the European campaign. It's an excellent story, almost like an interactive version of the mini-series Band of Brothers, released 2 years earlier. Released in 2009, this was the second game in the franchise's most successful trilogy. The story takes place 5 years after the events of the first game, with one of the playable characters being Joseph Allen, recruited by the CIA to join the anti-terrorist unit Task 141. Later, he is sent on a covert mission as an undercover agent, where he meets the series' most memorable villain, Vladimir Makarov. The story of Modern Warfare 2 is praised for its boldness and for tackling controversial themes, prompting players to question their own morality. Among its iconic moments is the infamous No Russian mission, which forces the player to witness or participate in a terrorist attack. The action scenes are spectacular, and the gameplay maintains the high standards of a series, delivering one of the best campaigns. This is a rare case where the sequel surpasses the original. Call of Duty: Black Ops 2 offers an exhilarating campaign set across 2 different timelines. Players take on the roles of Sergeant Alex Mason and his son David Mason as they try to stop the mysterious villain Raul Menendez. The story unfolds between 1980 and 2025, alternating between the 2 eras and showing the consequences of the player's choices in the past. With a very distinctive narrative and the introduction of choices that affect the ending, it stood out for its innovative approach to the campaign. The missions feature a wide variety of environments, from jungles to futuristic cities, keeping players engaged from start to finish. Undoubtedly, it's one of the great first-person shooters of its generation. This was the culmination of a fantastic trilogy that concluded in 2011. The story continues the events of the second game, with the world on the brink of chaos due to an all-out war between Russia and NATO forces. Task 141 is stretched thin, and characters like Captain Price and Soap McTavish are crucial in countering the global threat posed by the villain Vladimir Makarov. The Modern Warfare 3 campaign shines with its cinematic action, taking players through a multitude of settings, from a war-torn Manhattan to the underground of Paris. The gameplay is absolutely frenetic and packed with epic moments, delivering a fast-paced campaign that delighted fans and concluded the Modern Warfare saga in the best way possible. Released in 2007, this game marked the beginning of a golden era for the franchise. Interestingly, it took a significant risk at the time, breaking away from the comfortable success of the World War II setting and betting on a more modern combat context. With the events of September 11th still fresh, it was the perfect time to craft a story tied to terrorism. The result was a resounding success. Using Call of Duty's most common narrative method, it tells the story through the perspective of 6 different characters, uncovering a terrifying conspiracy. The Russian ultranationalist party, led by Imran Zakhaev, has formed a dangerous alliance with Khalid al-Assad, a Middle Eastern terrorist leader, with plans to reshape the global landscape, starting with Russia. It's one of the greatest campaigns in video game history and an absolute must-play for action game enthusiasts. The Call of Duty campaigns are not just about action and some of the most memorable battles in history. They represent moments where the game transcends entertainment to tell truly captivating stories while portraying the brutal realism of war. These are works that challenge players to reflect on the cost of war, the complexities of sacrifice, and the tough choices soldiers must face. Through diverse wartime scenarios, the franchise has managed to create experiences that resonate with players long after the final mission. The combination of compelling narratives, unforgettable characters, and varied gameplay ensures these campaigns remain true landmarks in the history of video games.